Okay, quickly. This guy, one of the ones, like I said earlier, you know, a lot of the stuff the guy said, I bit my tongue on because the guy had some good information, and I wasn't out to start a war with anybody, and I'm still not. I think the guy, he's a friend of Aaron's, and so that's what started this whole thing, literally. Guy had months to badmouth me, and he waits until his channel is going to be closed. Okay, well, the timing is pretty suspicious. So, fuck Aaron, and I don't care about him and any of these other pukes that have fucking tried to lay waste to my name. So, here in one of his videos, he said that Michael was Jesus Christ. Well, this is completely untrue for a couple of very simple reasons. What started the whole thing off between the fight between the two of them, if you want to go by the biblical story, is that Satan said, "I will exalt myself," in Isaiah, above the Most High, meaning the Creator. Okay, and the old man, when I say that, I mean the Creator, with all due respect, said, "Well, that's a nice story. Could have used a vampire." So, not necessarily that he was thrown out, but it says he left his abode. Okay, so all of that went down before mankind even shows up in the Bible. Lucifer, Satan, whatever you want to call him, was jealous of man for one specific reason. Because he felt that he was a higher being than man, yet he was supposed to be subservient to man. And because he said, why would I be subservient to human, which is a lesser than me? Forget it. And so we have to understand why he would feel this way. And this ties in with the church. Okay, now follow with me carefully here. The word church comes from the Scottish word Kersey. It's also known as a shortened version as Kirk, like Captain Kirk on the Starship Enterprise. Okay, now we go to Spock. Who was Spock? Spock was a Vulcan. If you go look up who Vulcan is, the god Vulcanus, that all gets tied in with Lucifer, Satan, or whatever. Okay, so now we have the church, and we have Spock, who's a Vulcan. The symbol that Spock makes in Star Trek, the split fingers, is exactly the same thing that the Catholics do when they make the sign of the cross, which is really the X on their chest. So that peace and be prosper, whatever Spock says, the Jews really do that. That's really a hand symbol. And so, jumping back to Kirk, Kirk became the word Circe, because Kirk is Kersey. Then it became Circe, and Circe was a creature in Roman mythology that lured people into the house, hypnotized them, and fed off of them. What does a church do? It lures you in, it hypnotizes you, or bores you to fucking death, and then asks for money. Okay? This is all part of the occult. And so, here you have Kirk on the Starship Enterprise, which represents the human, who wants to fight all the time, and you've got the Vulcan, who represents Saturn or Lucifer or Satan, the higher-minded one, that doesn't quite get the way that people think. Okay? And so if you ever watch Star Trek, you'll understand that when Kirk would make jokes to the other people, Spock would always just like raise an eyebrow, like, I don't get what you're saying, okay? Because it's two different conscious minds. Man to that type of mentality is an inferior being because of the way that we act and the things that we do to each other. Another thing that Spock would say is, well, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So that's your whole Go Green movement. But what's more interesting is what was Kirk in charge of? He was in charge of the Starship Enterprise. And what is a church? It's a business. Okay, so now getting back around to what Kurt said from one of the ones, he's saying that Michael was Jesus. It wouldn't be so. Because, and I'm going to do a comparison. Let's say a man has a child with his wife and it's his son. Okay? And to mobilize his son to take him to the park or go to the store, he builds a stroller. Now, the stroller was built by the hands of the father, but the child was made from the essence of the father. Okay? The sexual act created the son. Now, they're both made by the Father, but one is of the Father. The other one was created by the Father. And therefore, they're both under the domain of the Father, but one is tied directly to the Father, and that's the Son. Michael was an angel. Angels are messengers. Sometimes they're destroyers, but most of the time they're messengers. They're there to do a job. Like the stroller's job is to move the child, the angel's job is to deliver the word of the Creator or do whatever it is that his bidding is. But the difference is the child is part of the Father, literally. There's DNA. On an earthly level, it's DNA. You're tied to that. That's blood. That's family. The stroller is not. The stroller is simply a tool to be used when it's needed. Michael could not have been Jesus because in order to fulfill the prophecy, in order to beat the temptations of the world, Michael could not have done that in the form of an angel or being angelic for one specific reason. Because he had to have the Father in him, and we do, being men. Jesus had to step into the role of a man from basically, let's just use it like this, coming from a higher dimension down into the third dimension, into physical skin. He had to be tempted by all of those things, okay, to defeat them. An angel cannot do that. Okay, that's like telling the baby buggy to turn itself into another child. Or, for instance, if you look at the story Pinocchio, yeah, in the story the doll finally becomes a real boy, right? But in reality, you know that would never happen. So it was just a dummy. It was just a toy. It was never going to change. Angels can't turn into humans. They can take on a human form, but in order to beat the system, the guy had to become a human. The Son, Jesus Christ, had to become a human to defeat the things that went on in this world, if you want to follow the biblical story. Therefore, Michael is only a messenger and could never, ever have been the son of Jesus. They're sons of a different type, but they don't have, the spiritual DNA that we have in us that connects us through our DNA is linked to the Creator. Theirs is not. And that's where all of it splits with the bloodlines down, with the people fighting, trying to wipe out different races, because even Hitler tried to tie himself into Christianity through the house of David, stating, we're the true bloodline of the Creator. That's what all of this Nazi shit is about. So it all goes back to blood. Angels don't have that. So therefore, Michael, the archangel, could never have been Jesus Christ, because it wouldn't have meant anything. It had to be a man that had to be tempted to beat it, to physically live and to physically die, to be raised up, and then to ascend. Angels can't do that. And nowhere in the Bible do angels ever take on that role, ever. They're messengers. Every story about angels are coming down to deliver a message, or they're coming down whooping ass. But they never come down and take the role. They take the role of the lineage of the Creator. That's that. Oh, one other little thing real quickly. If you ever watch Disney, if you ever see the movie Pinocchio, just to give you a little insight about how perverted that fuck really was and still is, Pinocchio. The nose grew because it represents a fucking penis. The guy's name that made the doll was named Geppetto. If we stretch that out, what do we get? Gepettophile. And what did he want? He wanted a real boy. And where did he wind up? On an island full of real boys. So that's today's lesson. Y'all take care now.